So students, colleagues, friends, welcome to the Responsible Business Forum at Oxford Saïd. I'm Peter Tufano, the Dean of the school, and I am thrilled that we're going to spend the next day and a half together. And in my introduction, I'd like to set out a little bit about what we're trying to do, and then just intellectually why I'm so committed to this activity. Sometimes we think there's a dividing line between school and the rest of the world. But in business schools, that can't be true. We bring real businesses into the classroom in the form of speakers and in cases, and we bring students out into the field, such as our students who went to Johannesburg or New York a few weeks ago, actually taking a course in the wild, as it were. But what we're doing today is a little bit different. What we're doing today is the students are in here, are part of a class, and the rest of you are not. And we have never done this, where we kind of merge school and the real world in one place at one time in one conversation. I think this is the future of something that's going to be much more important in business education, and I'm thrilled that we're in the forefront of that. I'm thrilled that we're in the forefront of that around this particular topic. Now, today would not have occurred without a lot of hard work and collaboration between the school, Oxford Saïd, and Mars Catalyst. You're going to hear more about that collaboration, and you're going to hear more from the principals. And I will thank everyone many times, but I'd like to start by thanking the teams that have pulled this together, but particularly calling out the great work that's been done by the leaders of those teams. So that's Colin Mayer, Jay Jacob, and Bruno Roche, who are all sitting up front. I would like also to thank the speakers who have come from literally all over the globe to join us. And for the students, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock may be early, but I assure you, you'll want to be out tomorrow morning as well. So don't drink too much tonight. So why are we doing this? So I have a very simple concept. I believe that the core values of a school are reflected in the core curriculum of that school. So it's a really simple concept. The core values must be reflected in the core curriculum. And so therefore, if we think the responsibility is important, we have to devote time to it. We have to have time to think about what's been happening, debate and discuss what could and should happen. And so therefore, this is not an accident. This is a very conscious and deliberate decision on our part to devote time out of things that we could otherwise be studying to this topic. So I want to frame this a little bit in terms of why it is that this is part of the core values of the school. Understanding the responsibilities of business, purpose, mutuality are really critical. So businesses enter into a number of voluntary transactions. Transactions with customers, transactions with employees, transactions with suppliers, transactions with investors. And economists, when they think about them, characterize the nature of that transaction or relationship in different ways. So Hirschman had written about exit, voice, and loyalty. That the nature of these relationships or transactions is that you can exit, voice, say something, or simply be loyal. And of these, exit is the most important to most economists. So what does exit mean? It means that a customer can say, I don't want to buy that product anymore. An employee can say, I don't want to work for you anymore. An investor can say, I want to sell my shares. A supplier can say, I'd rather not do business with you. That's a powerful concept, but it's not powerful enough, because exit only works in the presence of full information and in the presence of the ability to exit. So for example, if you're, and by the way, this whole exit concept is behind caveat emptor. So for example, if you're an investor but you don't have the information to make a decision about whether you want to invest or not, exit doesn't work so well. If you're a child laborer and you don't really have the ability to stop working, exit doesn't work so well. If you've taken some drug and then 20 years later you find out that it has bad side effects, there's no ability to exit. And so exit is a powerful concept, but not powerful enough. And therefore, we set up a set of rules and regulations and norms to establish and govern behavior. But as we know, political systems, and as an American, I'm watching my political system with great interest right now, political systems don't always get it right. And therefore, we can't only hope that laws and regulations are going to govern our behavior. And so it's up to us as young and older business leaders to determine what should govern business behavior. And that's where this comes in. We have to go beyond the mere requirements of society and figure out where we think the dividing line is between fair and not fair, just and not just, responsible and not responsible behavior. Now, what you're not going to hear over the next day and a half, I think, is preaching about why we should hold ourselves to higher standards. At least not a lot of preaching, maybe a little bit. But what you will hear is firms struggling to figure out what does that mean? What works, what doesn't? What things can you do, and what things will run up so much in the face of other stakeholder requirements that you find yourself stymied? What things are effective, what things aren't? And with the rubric of Mars, in terms of mutuality, how is it to share the well-being that we've all created through our enterprises with other people in our societies? All of that is what we're up to in the next day and a half. This, we hope, will be the first of an annual event, but I guess we have to get to number 2 before it becomes annual. But I assure you this topic is one that we are committed to understanding at the school. It's not going away. The political discourse is not making this any easier. Pressures in the economic environment is not making it any easier. And therefore, if we don't have an honest and frank discussion of these topics at a place like Oxford, where else might we do that? So with that, I'm going to sit down as a participant. I will be coming in and out over the course of the day. And I hope that we have an absolutely fabulous day. You're going to hear more about the specifics here. But just reflect a moment on this unique format. Students sitting next to executives, struggling with a set of issues where no one has the complete answers, but to which the answer is critical to the success of not only our businesses, but I believe society at large. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ted Malik, my colleague, who will get us started with the day and explain where we're headed. But again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for participating. And I'm excited about what it is that we're going to get out of here. And thank you so much to our leaders. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Peter, especially for your leadership at Saïd Business School and for making it the kind of place where we can talk about responsible leadership, responsible business. I'm going to do something in reverse to begin. I want to say thank you as well. A famous author once said that saying thank you is the first and the last word of leadership. So thank you, frankly, for coming, for giving us your time, for preparing, for being with us today and tomorrow. Don't forget about tomorrow. Now, the program slide. You all have the program. We're not going to make long introductions of any persons. We're not going to go over their bios. You can read that material. There are even very nice photos that they've given us, so you can match them up to their own faces. There are only 2 words I want to say in introduction here to describe what we're doing. The first one is joy. We are really full of joy about what we're presenting here, but we also want you to enjoy what you hear. The second word is, frankly, humility. We are tentative about what we're saying, what will be presented. It's going to be presented in a critical fashion. We want you to ask hard questions, and this is a work in progress. This is a journey. We have not arrived yet. Now, the concern in businesses today around the globe revolves around planet, people, and profit. How can these fit together? What is the role of a responsible business leader in bringing them into a common framework? Can they be properly aligned, synchronized, fashioned into a workable whole so as to benefit enterprise and society both? The emergence of these sustainable business practices that take full consideration of the social, financial, economic, environmental realities of the firm certainly demand, and I underline this word, a different approach. A more responsible type of leadership, global in orientation, interdependent, because the 21st century is that kind of century, nothing less than global citizens, statespersons, ambassadors, if you will. Responsible business should combine economic strategy with ethical consideration. Let's get started.